we obviously spend a lot of our time at Endor Labs around this concept of prioritization of risk and finding the needle in the haystack. And if I build a complete graph of your software state, how can I then pinpoint not only what is the reachable risk, but also what happens if I try to fix that risk? Does that cascades into any downstream issues that say, okay, maybe it's worth it for me to do a less risky fix that fixes 80% of my issues versus a very risky fix that fixes 100% of them, but it will also force me into 6 months of refactoring. So we have this gap. You've written in the blog post that AI-driven development is accelerating that gap. Can you talk about how and why is AI accelerating that gap?
Yeah, in there, and I was trying to cite, some of the reports and research that's out there, and it varies depending on the source. But, essentially the mantra and the finding is that, people are more productive. When they say productive, they generally mean like producing more lines of code, producing, higher code velocity, right? Which is a great thing. Like people are more productive in a development context. They're able to ship faster to production, iterate through product cycles faster, that kind of thing. But with that, similar reports that look at the AI development that's happening, there were some metrics in there, for example, like 62% of solutions generated by AI aren't correct or contain security vulnerabilities. And again, to your point, something you talked about earlier is we know that these models, these foundation, models are often trained on publicly available data sets. In this case, it means open source, right? Which often has vulnerabilities in there. It's not well maintained. Again, we can kind of take us down the track of the open source software top 10, which is something, Endor has been heavily involved in. We've collaborated with on OWASP on, for example. So if we're developing faster and if we're able to ship faster, and security's already struggled to keep up, like I talked about, we have these vulnerability backlogs that are problematic. We've struggled to kind of integrate ourselves into development workflows and break down cultural barriers in that sense. And now people are producing code at a pace of double-digit, acceleration over what they were doing historically, and it's trained on these open source, code, libraries, et cetera, projects. You can see where this is going. Like it's going to exacerbate the problems that we've already had to a level that's exceeding where we're already at, which is already unsustainable for us to keep up with. So we need a new approach basically, or we're going to, basically just have worse problems than we already have now.